Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
You and I are kind of similar. You may even be more good-hearted than me. I feel like you. Well,
but in our longing hearts, we're all the same.
Mutual respect and
yes.
A boundary might have been crossed that you, right?
That's
so
correct.
just an example it is a great example. I appreciate that for giving me the example to even work with.
Let's be the change we want to see.
I've never seen differences negative. I've always been attracted to and intrigued by it. But we're looking for how are we similar? How are we the same? How can we all just get along?
We are links in a chain. Unimportant.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, everyone. I'm Dr. Lynn.
I'm Justin. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. This is Working It Out Across Generations, the show where we talk all things conflict, big and small, how they play a role in our society, and being that we have a conflict resolution background professionally, we try to give some tips out there for reconciliation. So today we got a really, really cool episode. I'm excited to be back, excited to be feeling extra better since I was out 2 weeks ago. So I'm really feeling like myself, which is really cool. But yeah, great episode today. I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Lynn.
Oh, yes. It's an episode that, as a boss, I know nothing about. Okay. Yeah, you'll get your turn.
I will get my turn.
You'll get your turn.
I'm joking. She's great. She's great.
But hey, are you working for a mean boss? Listen, I've been working for a long time. Before I worked for me, I worked for other people. And I've had more than one mean boss. Woo.
That sucks.
I've had more than one. And I can tell you that it is something, right, to be able to stay there and do the work and do what you have to do, because everybody can't leave. I thought this was a great topic because, yes, there are more entrepreneurs out there now, people out there getting their hustle on and doing great things, but still the majority of people work 9 to 5s or whatever. I mean, a job for someone else, whatever the hours are that they work. And that means that there's a high likelihood that you're going to encounter a mean boss, someone that you work for, and it can be challenging, to say the least. So we're going to be talking about that today. I've had I've had a few, and I have to say, and they were in my 20s and 30s, and so I didn't know anywhere near as much as I do now, and I suffered certainly more than they did, because they seemed like they were enjoying the misery that they were. They did. They seemed like they were enjoying making folks miserable. The fortunate part is that I've always worked on a team. So, what is the saying? Misery loves company. I didn't want any of us to have to work for a mean person, but we did. And sometimes it's really difficult because they may only be mean to you. They're not mean to other people. And I've seen that happen as well. I was trying to think that I have not experienced being the only one, but I have experienced them selecting someone out for even more punishment. And it's brutal. It's hard. Like I said, everybody can't leave a job. You need your paycheck. You also may enjoy the rest of your job, but this is the aspect that really is troubling you, or just that you go home and just like really ready to cry about, or whatever bad habits you may have.
Or smoke about it.
Right.
Check out our last episode.
Yes, check out our last episode. But it's something to try to deal with it. And I will say, I didn't deal with it well. And I am really happy that we're talking about it, because I'd love to help people who may be experiencing a mean boss. Now, this is interesting, because what does that even mean, that you're working? Because sometimes bosses are just tough and they really know what they're doing to get the work product out. Where they suffer, though, is in creating that team-like atmosphere where people really want to come to work and want to produce, right? Yes, you should want to produce because you want to show your best self, but it may not happen if you're working on a toxic team, right? Or if you're working for a toxic boss, really, because the team might be great. So it's important, I think, to really be talking about this. I mean, it's so important. You think about all the different movies, like there's Mean Bosses. I think that's
Yeah,
one, right? Mean Bosses, the movie. Devil Wears Prada is one of the best mean
it's a
boss
great movie.
movies out there. Absolutely. And people are stuck in situations that they see up on the screen. Hey, when I was coming up, right? I don't know if people remember, because I know the movie's still out there. 9 to 5, working 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda. I know I'm dating myself, and then a lot of y'all may be more in the Justin crew, but some of you probably remember the 9 to 5 movie. That too was about a mean boss, but also who was sexist. But in any case, it's a topic that people are fascinated by, and therefore it's something we should be talking about. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as far as mean bosses, I don't think I've ever had a mean boss yet. So I'm very, very grateful, lucky, blessed for that. I think as far as how I can relate to the topic, I'm really just thinking about like school. Like I've
Mhm.
had rude, just like authoritative figures
Mhm.
in my life. So teachers, more um, administrators, more of the big dogs of the schools. If any of you are watching this, you guys are terrible. But that's why I get my mic and she gets hers. I get to say what I want. She says what she wants.
Oh Lord.
You guys are mean bosses that no one wants. Anyway, no, I think that, it's one of those things for me where I, especially even as a kid, I always tried to find the positive that I could get out of such a weird kind of dynamic between me and this authoritative figure who really didn't like me. And I so appreciate you bringing up even just the team aspect, right? Because, right, they could just have something against you, right? Of course, not gonna lie, we're honest on this show. I was the class clown. I'm making people laugh. Being what they would call disruptive sometimes, right? I think I was just being a kid, but
That's
other
correct.
times I was being disruptive. Um,
A disruptive kid.
However, yes, if
But
that
you was being a
I was
kid.
being a kid, bro. Like, what do you expect kids to do in school with, a teacher who doesn't even like them? Like, they're gonna try and talk to other people that like them. So, the singling out aspect, I definitely resonate with a lot. I
Mhm.
for sure got singled out just about every community that I was a part of growing up in school. And so I think that, you know, for me, which we'll get into a little bit later, right? It always had me intrigued as to what's making this person act the way that they're acting, right? Especially when they're
Right.
signaling you out. It's
Right.
so clear as day, right? The difference in treatment from, your peers and the relationship that they have with this figure to yours.
Right.
And so for me, it was always like, why me? Of course, that's not always a great question to like land on and spend too much time on, right? Why
Mhm.
me from the world? You're going to get just nowhere, honestly, as far as expounding your energy. However, what made them this way, right? Did they have kids in the school or out, right? What did that look like? Did they not? What was the relationship like with their family, right? And so it was very, very interesting just how easy it was for me to be labeled the troublemaker or whatever it
Mhm.
was when it was clear as day that this was an adult. Remember, just my perspective, an adult who truly did not have any means being around children or children that they weren't used to, especially the children they're not used to, because they are credentialed, they've been teaching for a long time, right? But as far as understanding kids and experiences of those that are differing from them and how they grew up, I think those are serious gaps that require a lot of training to bridge. And I mean, if you're an authoritative figure, I think that any real charge that you have and say that you have over other people's experience of you or the building y'all are sharing and or projects you're working on, right? I think it's especially important for those people to make sure they're doing whatever sort of training they need to do to make sure they can handle whatever sort of situation comes up especially when it comes to being an authoritative figure over children.
Yeah, well, it's good that you haven't had mean bosses. One of the things that I know for myself, first of all, growing up, it didn't matter. My parents taught me, your boss is in charge, the boss is always right, and you just have to live with it because it's interesting. I grew up with parents who grew up in a time where you got a good job and you stayed there until you retired. So they absolutely laid the foundation. There's no such thing as job hopping, which today there are plenty of people. In fact, the workforce is prepared for or trying to prepare for the fact that workers are not staying as long, right? If you're talking about office jobs, they're not staying as long. They're looking for the next thing. And the next thing doesn't have to be with your company. It could be anywhere. The world is their oyster and they know it, especially somebody who's got skills. They know what they're worth, or at least they think they know what they're worth, and they're going to go and they're going to look somewhere else to work. And they're going to do that within a number of years. It's not going to be 5 or 10 years. You're not sitting down. Few people are sitting down anymore with the interview question, where do you see yourself in 10 years, right? Or even 5, because they'll answer honestly, not here, unless I'm really getting good promotions and I'm being valued, right, and respected here. I don't see myself here. So it's really important, if we're talking about the workforce, for you to be thinking about, if you have great people who work for you and with you, you want to keep them around for as long as you can. Whether or not the idea for most people is hopping from job to job, keeping someone who is really good at what they do, and on top of it may be someone who is a great influencer of other people on the team, well liked, plays well, right, whatever. Keeping them around means you cannot be a mean boss. And some bosses don't know when they're being mean. That's one of the things I really appreciated you saying. I'm trying to think about, like, what's up with this person? Why are they acting like this toward me? Look at the current state of the world. There are people who are walking around with depression, low functioning or high functioning depression, right? That they can actually function, but they're still depressed. That could be happening. Something at home could be happening. They could be the kind of person that just doesn't share anything, sees the workplace as the workplace, nothing personal about it. And if it's your boss, who do they have to talk to? They're not going to talk to you, because first of all, they shouldn't be sharing the personal problems with you as the boss, unless that is the kind of team that you've built. But most likely it's not, because somehow or other meanness is coming out. But also, I think it's important for you to define what meanness is. And I know for me, you don't have to yell at me. You don't have to shame me, call me out if I make a mistake. We can have a conversation, and you could show me, right, what it is that I need to do to improve. So for me, a mean boss was a boss that was constantly yelling. Never, 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 never satisfied. Never satisfied with anything that I did. Maybe somebody else did a little better, but never satisfied, and always pointing out the negative in what I did, never pointing out the positive. Someone who's inflexible. Listen, things happen for people. Not everybody is just trying to get out so they can go home and take a nap. Or I had a coworker, hey, this is why those of us who really need the time don't get the time. I had a coworker who called in sick and was seen in the news footage of one of the parades, St. Patrick's Day, one of the parades, right? Like,
that's always a fun one.
Come on. So the rest of us, when we ask for something that's really important, knowing your knowing the people who work for your team's life. Maybe someone has a child that's on a sports team, and they may know that they're going to miss too many games, but they don't want to miss all of them, and they're trying for some flexibility there. Maybe there's need flexibility in picking up their child. Maybe someone needs flexibility in a therapy appointment, because those are hard to get as well sometimes, and you may not be able to get it every time at a time when you're not working. You really have to think about, can you be that flexible person, or are you just always inflexible? Then that absolutely is going to be seen as mean.
Yeah, as far as generationally speaking, I think my generation struggles with mean bosses. I think at times we struggle with authority in the first place. I know I'm one of them, but I think it is with good reason.
What's the good reason?
I'm about to give it. So I don't know if that was a little plug thing you were trying to do, but I was literally gearing up to give it. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Where I think that it comes from is, really, really thinking about, the personal connection that we have to said authority. I think that's something that we value very much. I think that we see our time as valuable. I think that we see our feelings as valuable, and we want to make sure that we're working in a space with adults who see that as valuable as well, right? And so there's when you put like in a mission statement, like, oh, we care about these things, and like, oh, we are open to these conversations, right? No conflict scares us, we can deal with it, those kinds of things, right? And then when stuff comes up, there's just this treatment of either the issue or us within the issue that, to be honest, can honestly turn us off from thinking that our boss has any real want to understand or uphold the words that they say their company or hub stands by, right? So there's just so many examples, but we don't want to get in trouble. So we're not going to give personal examples. However, I know for me, it's one of those things that, I love how you said identifying what mean is, right? I think even within that, the singling out is something, right? For me that I know. So, if I'm bringing stuff to you as you're supposed to, in a company, in a setting, right? And then you're labeling me as like somehow, some way the troublemaker, right? Like, how does that make me feel safe in bringing this to you? And mind you, remember, I'm coming from the, just overall working with authority. If that authority is mean, right?
Right.
Haven't had a mean boss. My boss is pretty great. Still working on some things. So
Yes.
let's just get
But
that
I'm
out
not
the way.
mean.
But not mean, right? For sure, not mean. That's never been an issue. However, though, like, it would always be like, how is that even, like, how, I don't even understand how that adds up, right? Like, I'm doing what's supposed to be done. I'm reporting the issue, trying to have a conversation, and somehow, some way, I'm potentially starting the problems, right? So all of these things, right? And I think that, we want to feel a sense of security. We want to feel a sense of trust. I think that it's honestly a vulnerable position to be put in for any person to be, to have a boss and to put certain areas of your life in the hands of someone who may have more knowledge than you, may have more resources than you, whatever it is, right? Whatever the case may be that makes them the authoritative figure that they are. That's a vulnerable thing to do. And I think my generation prides itself on making sure that there's safety in that, right? That there's security in that, not necessarily of the job, but of the treatment of people. And so I can't, I personally think that there's a time and a place. I think that there are times where that sternness, that edge, that attitude, whatever, can be the driving thing that gets you to make that last sale, to, just like you're in the gym, get that last rep out. However, when we're talking about culture, right? Systems, like how we do things, right? We hear this all the time in these disciplinary hearings, right? Like that's not how we do things here, right? So what is? How do we do things here, right? So I think that my generation is always down to, respect authority, right? But then again, just show us why. We're kind of like the show us why we should even trust you kind of people. Show us why.
Yes,
show us why your word. Show us why your word is bond, in the sense of you've earned such, great achievements and or authority in multiple places or for a certain duration of time. Show me why, right? Show me how. And I don't think that that's a bad question. I don't think that's a disrespectful question. And I think that the bosses that take it that way, I think there's a lot of stuff for y'all to think about as far as what you're bringing to the office, what you want your office to look like, and then how, managing the balance of the outside world, which is tough for everyone to manage, but how that shows up and seeps into the community or hub that you've said built. So it's all about balance at the end of the day. I think there's meanness in all of us, right? And however, there's a way to do it, right? We laugh at stand-up comedy that's rude, right? But like there's a way to do it. So I think that really is just how I land here as far as my generation, because I don't know a single person my age who doesn't respect authority. It's more about, why you the person,
right?
What makes you the right person for the job. And it's not always in this questioning or challenging of, it genuinely is coming from a space of, I know what I can give to this community or what I can give to this job or what I can give to this hub. So I know I'm going to give this. Can I get some sort of reassurance from you? And that's not, I don't think bosses are too big to, pose those kinds of questions. I personally don't, but I mean, if that's the culture that they are, then I'm here to break that, because that's not how that's going to work with me, at least.
But you really do think that, you said, I don't know anybody in my generation who doesn't really like respect authority. So you really feel like that?
That I know. Remember, I don't know everyone.
I know you don't.
I don't want to know everyone. I'm good on not knowing everyone. I pride myself in not knowing everyone. But of the people I know, yeah, absolutely. Because there's someone somewhere that they I don't want to use the word submit, but that they listen to, that they whose words that they genuinely take with a grain of salt. So
yeah, it's an interesting.
It is an interesting.
It's interesting because I think that there's a boundary that gets pushed and pushed and pushed with your generation, millennials, that never got pushed with mine. Hey, Gordon, shout out to you. Thanks for stopping in and saying, hey.
What's up, Gordon?
Hey, I'm wondering, Gordon, if, and this is for everybody, because we're going to put up our email address for you to send this to us. And who is your favorite mean boss character? Who is your favorite mean boss character? I named a few movies. I love The Devil Wears Prada. Like that's my movie. But you can even think about TV shows. I was thinking about, hey, Andrea, happy belated birthday.
Happy belated.
I was thinking about J.R. Ewing from the original Dallas, right? He was, oh my gosh,
a great call.
A mean boss. But I think even when we don't root for the boss, like we're mad at them, when you play it well, there's something there, right? We admire something about what you did. But I don't know, Andrea or Gordon, if you have a favorite mean boss character, and if you out there have a favorite one,
or if you have a mean boss that you've actually had.
But
don't name drop them, but tell the story. I don't know why we're giving characters.
Yeah, right.
These aren't movie characters. These are legitimate people that run Fortune 500 companies. So, like, don't drop the name, drop the lived experience of having been with a mean boss. We've all got one. Like, I have so many teachers I can name drop. I'm not going to, but my gosh, these people were terrible, and these were real life experiences. So I love the angle, but if you have a real story,
yes, you have a real story, right?
Give that too.
Give that too.
Don't hide that from us.
A mean boss, but yeah. So, oh my goodness, I did a throwback for them. Yes, I love it. J.R. Ewing. Yes. He was the meanest of the mean, and yet had so many fans in his favor. But he was one of my favorites. But I definitely
Yes, Gordon knows what I'm talking about. You've had mean bosses. These aren't movie characters. These are real people. Yes, you got a couple. He's got a couple, right? You know what I mean? Like, my guy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We don't need to take the whole. We don't need to hide these people. They know who they are, right? So talk about them without saying their name. Absolutely.
Yes.
Let them know.
Yes. So can we put the email? You type faster than me. Put our email in, and we'll put it up for folks. I mean, we got viewers on YouTube who aren't able to comment. So if you can, we are working it out across. They put the generations. It's working it out across the generations. TV show, right?
Oh my gosh.
No, not TV show. Okay.
You're overstimulating me.
Sorry.
Grab the phone, please.
Okay. Working it out across the
gosh.
generations at e360tvlive.com. Working it out across the generations at e360tvlive.com. Putting it up now. Who's your favorite? Either character boss, or maybe they're not your favorite mean boss, but you got a mean boss story that you want to definitely tell us and let us know that this topic resonates with you.
And anything further, hit us up on this email. We check it. We get emails. So please engage with us. Let us know. But for sure, please. I mean, in the email, you get as personal as you want. But on the show, right, we want to protect everyone, make sure everyone feels safe to tell their story. So moving on, because y'all can probably sense that I can talk about mean bosses in a mean way for hours. You probably sense that by now. But I do think that there are value in these kinds of people. There's values in these kinds of authority and in all people, right? So if anything, it honestly wasn't that difficult to find some reasons as to why we think mean bosses are valuable. So let's get into just a few of those. First, I said they're highly driven, right? And then find out why. It's definitely a little bit of a two-parter, but first is something to notice, right? You can definitely tell that they're highly driven, that there's something somewhere within them that they think is bigger than them, that they are bringing to their hub, to their teams, to their whatever. And so find out what that is, right? That could be a family member, right? That could be family history, right? It's in the history to be doing something where you're the authority or the big dog in the room, right? I think family is definitely something you'll see, a big reason as to why, people go as hard as they do, right? But whatever that reason may be, go find out what that is. It's definitely easy to be turned off at times by that. The high drive, the need to, have results on the table all the time, right? And the results have to reflect a certain thing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Remember, we are well aware that this is, like a little bit of a tightrope. It's about finding balance. However, they're very high-driven people, and I think that that's only something that'll seep into you the more that you're around it and the more that you can understand it.
Yeah, I would say, except for the boss that I had that was on cocaine, but she was highly driven to, yeah.
How did we just go?
I'm telling the truth. I didn't say the name.
I can't say.
I didn't even say the year.
I can't say damn
I didn't
on
say
this
the
show.
company.
No. I can't say damn on this show next to this woman. But she can talk about cocaine. Can we?
I didn't say anything bad about it. I just said, except for the boss that was on cocaine, the other two were highly driven, and she was highly driven too. I just didn't know her.
I'm texting our executive producer. This is BS. I want to review my contract. What just happened? Continue.
Yes. Okay. You continue.
I will continue, and I won't continue.
And that's where the find out why comes in, because this woman was so mean. I had to find out why, and you don't want to know how I found out.
Yeah, that's fine.
At a party in the ladies' room. Boom. There you go.
What the? If we get sued, it's coming out of your check, not mine.
There's no information.
Not mine. Anyway, demanding of accountability. I'm a big accountability person. I think that there's a lot of responsible people out there who even struggle with accountability. So for me, these are people who, they really are about, it's not just, can you show up and can you do what I ask, right? Could you take criticism, right? Can you do all these things? Now they take it a little too far from, what I've seen, what I've experienced, also stories I've heard of bosses taking it too far. However, I think accountability is, just closest to action, closest to, can I take the action? It's not just the acknowledgement piece, which acknowledgement is everything, right? But can I actually go do something about it? And I think that that's a big value when it comes to working under someone who, honestly, they might be, a bit of a narcissist in other ways or some ways, but when they get it wrong or they got a loss on their hands and on their name, they'll own that. They'll own that and they'll do what needs to be done to try to make amends with that. And so I think that's a very, very important value to have. If you're going to be an authoritative figure, you got to be able to say, I don't know what I don't know, which is why you're here and you're here to help, right? And I got that wrong in this moment. My apologies. Here's what I'm going to do to make it right. And I think that these are bosses that definitely pride themselves on the ability to be as accountable as possible. Now, not everywhere you're going to see this. Not every boss is going to give you such a mature conversation around, like EQ and or owning their stuff and owning maybe what might have come into their day and into their tone talking to you, right? Which is, I think, kind of where, you want to, these are like people that say sorry without saying sorry. You know what I mean? So you kind of want to be able to find those angles in their language, right? Find those entry points in their language to then be like, okay, this is really what they're talking about. This is what they're asking of me. And this is what they're going to put forth for them. I already know they're not going to maybe say it that way, but I'm going to listen out for it. So I think this is definitely something that you can look for in a very mean boss, high value skill and a mean boss for sure.
Okay. Oh, you're going to say, I'm going to say, I'm going to go the opposite way with this. I find that mean bosses actually are mean because they don't want to take accountability for anything, but they want you to. They want everybody on the team to be accountable for all the mistakes that they made. And both of us are right, because I know that I definitely can see the trait in the mean bosses that I experienced, that they want you to be accountable, but I did not always find them accountable. And can we show Gordon's? Yeah. Own my position and my duties, right? That would be, even if you're mean about it, that's an important piece. And I think that's the piece that you're talking about, is that there is within them that that ability to do it. I just didn't experience it, but
right, which is why I say I think they're going to do it in their own way. Right?
Yes, I love that piece you said.
Sorry without
They're not
saying
gonna
sorry.
say yep.
They're never going to say sorry. Your boss is never going to say sorry. If they do, you have a great boss. But they're going to do it in another way in which you're going to have to kind of pick up on, oh, like this person's definitely like apologizing, but they just don't have the power, I guess, or don't see it as powerful to say the words and put it out in that way, as honestly, everyone is in a state of vulnerability when working under a boss. So it's very, very interesting, but again, high value, especially when you understand it. Next, there's a clear direction with these bosses. You know what they want. You know where you're going. There's no teetering off the plan, right? And if you are, it better be somehow, some way enhancing the original path that they have you on, right? Which is, I think, honestly, in a lot of ways, a good thing, in the sense of, if you're someone who doesn't want to rock the boat, right? Shake things up and anything like that, you're good in the sense of, all right, well, I can come in, I can do my piece, I can say my piece, I can manage my team. I know what I got to do. It's very straightforward and clear results at the end of, whatever projects we're working on, right? And so I think that with these kinds of bosses, yes, when you try to shake things up or when you try to veer off the plan, right, it's kind of like, you better be right. And if not, you're toast, right? In some capacity. But I think that for the most part, A lot of people do want, unless their overall business model are the type to be the ones that shake things up. I think a lot of people do want clear direction, clear sign of the light at the end of the tunnel, clear results. And these bosses are definitely going to try to make it as simple as possible, even though, you teeter off a little bit, it will get a little difficult. So I think that it is a high value thing to have a clear direction in place.
This is bringing up such bad memories for me, y'all.
I'm seeing the visceral
you see,
reaction.
oh my
and
God.
I think
back
I'm
there.
spitting right
I'm
now.
reliving.
Yeah,
I know you're doing fine.
like,
I'm just
damn,
reliving all of the bad memories. Anybody else doing the same thing? Because I have long ago left them since I am my own boss. But yes, clear direction. Sometimes I wish there was a clear direction, but I will say that.
I feel for
I mean, am I the only one? Like,
I feel for y'all.
Like, get together. We'd get together and go, what are they talking about?
And with teachers, at least it's like, you're going home to your parents, people you do like or respect. Yes. Hopefully, I hope. Not to speak for everyone, but it's like, I'm only dealing with you half the day. Like, whatever. I can imagine with a boss, it's like, oh my gosh.
But there are many who actually do give clear direction. I think really where we're trying to get you to is to a place of trying to understand like what's underneath this, right? If I were to be able to write 4 or 5 things about my boss, what could I say in terms of their work style, what it is that they really insist upon? And there are bosses who are mean because they don't want you going from to the left or the right, but they want you going straight in the path that the company says we need to go in, whether you think the company is right or not. Yeah,
that's perfect. I like it. And then we honestly, today's bonus day. We felt like with this one, there's just like, we talk about this for so, thank you for that, actually. I wasn't even going to be mean. Thank you for that. I think that this is something we could talk about for hours, right? We already have, but like, we do think there's just so much more to it. So the bonus that we came up for the value in mean bosses, that simply they can teach you something about yourself. We saw Gordon had said, great comment right here. It helped him stand his ground, navigate respect around authority, right? You want to be able to, at the end of the day, still have a voice, still have, your humanity come through in these dynamics, right? Which is so easy for that to be taken away from you. And so, yes, absolutely. It's going to make you look in the mirror. It's going to make you, have to manage some of your emotions, right? Yeah. When you start getting heated, right? Being able to calm that down or get that out however you can in the safety of your own privacy, so that you can get back out there on the field and do what you got to do. So I think that's a great comment that helps support that point. It's really all about, what can I get out of this? Like I'm not going to say there's no value in being around this person. There's value in learning in every endeavor that we go through. So I think especially in the ones that you don't like, the ones that make you feel more uncomfortable, the ones that make you feel more challenged, that's where you get the most growth.
Yeah, I'm going to say it made me realize I needed Jesus.
That's a crazy thing.
I'm sorry. So many and that's things. Not a terrible thing.
No, but
because that is like where my path started.
So many things that could make you need Jesus.
Because I had to really pray my way out of the situation with 2 of them, really. I mean, I want to go. Andrea had a comment because I'm going to tell you honestly, Andrea, I want to go to your comment because you said here we go. Where is it? I had condescending bosses who were attorneys that I was their paralegal. Don't get us in trouble now, Andrea, because people might know you, know where you work. People
might know you. And what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about?
They might know who she's talking about. She said, I remember the one time I felt so hopeless that I felt I didn't want to exist anymore. Andrea, first of all, I'm so sorry that anybody made you feel like that. Anybody.
Yeah, you're dope. So.
Nobody should have to feel like that.
Right, you're all dope. That wasn't singular.
Right. Nobody should have to feel like that. And I absolutely understand what you're saying because that is how I felt many times with bosses. So that when I said that it made me realize that I needed Jesus. It really did because I didn't know how to handle it. So we really want to talk about how you deal with a mean boss, because like I said, everybody can up and leave. So if you got to stay there, what's something you can do? This is so hard. I know it.
Very
I
hard,
know it.
yeah.
I know it. The Four
Very
Agreements.
hard.
Anybody ever read that book? Don't take their behavior personally. It's not personal. Yes, it is. It's me. They're picking on me. They all. I know it seems like that. And yes, they are directing things towards you, but whatever's going on with them has nothing to do with you. We teach conflict. Rarely are we in the same conflict that is sitting right before us. We're in the one before it. We're in the one 10 years ago with the best friend and they did the same behavior. We're in the one with our parents that from way back. We are not. Rarely are we in the one where we are right now in this time. So it isn't personal. It's whatever's happening with that.
Yeah, I learned that very early, again, with teachers, but I was just like, dude, that has nothing to do with me. Like, whatever you're bringing in today, like, I'm actually happy today. I'm not even in the mood to mess with you today, right? I'm genuinely just being a happy kid. And, it's like, that has nothing to do with me. So I'm not going to take that home with me. And again, very, very difficult to do. But when you're able to decipher what's what, especially in those moments, it just makes leaving those moments with energy more likely. And that's what we want.
And if you need someone around you, have good support for people to tell you it's not you. It's so don't.
Right, you're not crazy.
Yeah, you're not.
Sure.
You're not any of the things they may be calling you, telling you are. You're incompetent. You're slow. You're like all of those things. You're not any of that because this isn't about you. It's about something about them. So, yeah.
Great stuff.
The next one is practice empathy. Again, really hard because you got some things you want to say, right?
Very difficult.
Right.
Especially when they won't meet you halfway. When they won't meet you halfway,
that's right.
That's hard.
It's
hard
is.
To.
It's
Being
hard.
a bigger person all the time, not easy.
Yes.
You've said it. Too much of anything is unhealthy. So.
That's right. But practice empathy,
important.
even if you have to do it in a sarcastic way, because my mom used to do that, just like poor thing. Must really be hard to be them.
Damn.
That's like, but really feeling like it is true. It really feeling poor thing. Whatever's going on must be really bad, right? It must be hard to be them right now. And I'm going to keep my distance, do me.
I support it.
Yeah.
That works for me.
This number one thing you need to be doing, practicing self-care. Anybody working for anyone who is mean to them, I mean, we need to be practicing self-care anyway, but under these circumstances, for sure. And I can tell you that was one thing that I did not do the very first, actually 2 times that I experienced really mean bosses. And I have learned that the better I love on me during this time, the better I take care of me, the less this stuff bothers me. And going back to looking at all of the things, okay, so you know what, fine. I'm going to do this, that, and that because I know this is how particular they are. And I'm going to breathe my way through it, or whatever your practice is. If you got to go do yoga before or after, if you got to take a walk for lunch, if you've got to have some soothing teas, if you've got to call someone who just makes you feel better, read something that uplifts you, all of these things, keep something on your desk that makes you think about how good you are and your life is.
I agree. Something that's, not just getting a drink after work.
Right.
Or something like that. We real self-care, for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely important.
Right. Work out, do something.
Yep.
And even if you scream in the mirror, talk about them in the mirror, but know that that's something you'll never say to their face, but you just got to get it out.
Shadow box in the mirror, something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And bonus, because it's bonus day. And this really shouldn't be a bonus. Confront with conflict resolution skills. If you don't have any conflict resolution skills, you need to get some. You need to email us and get some, because you cannot handle a situation like this without some skills. Somebody's going to end up getting hurt, either verbally or physically, if you're that kind of person. And that's not only is it not necessary on the job, it's not necessary at all. Look at where we are in society. Too many people, their first solution is punching somebody out and filming it. This is where we are. We really do need to understand that there are skills that we can use them to try to have the conversations that we need to have in order to get things to be better. Get your voice heard, get other people's voices heard, have the difficult conversation.
I agree. I think you feel empowered doing it. Yes, again, it's tough being the bigger person all the time, but at the end of the day, you just feel more secure in yourself, more secure in how you're showing up, more secure in how you're trying to leave these spaces. And it just helps you understand
That's a good one.
way more of, thank you.
That's another way of saying don't burn bridges. I love you said,
Yep.
More secure on how you're going to leave this situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's so much value in conflict resolution skills. It changed my life for sure. I started early. So I know it's helping so many other people.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. We're not saying that this is easy stuff, right? Because especially when you know that you have not done anything wrong or you have done your best, because maybe you have done some things wrong, because we all do things wrong. We make mistakes. We're here for that. So we're here to do so we can learn, right? But especially when you are receiving behavior that you do not deserve, it can be incredibly tough to say, I'm going to use my skills and have this conversation. But I'm going to tell you what, because the other end of things, of where people are confronting in a negative and violent way, is people who just take it in and don't say anything, and they sit and internalize, and then it wears and tears on you. Does nothing for the other person. It just wears you down, and that's no good. So if you're going to sit there and talk to yourself about it, you might as well use some skills to talk with them about it so that you can get things resolved.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation. I thought it's very valuable. I think that a lot of people are dealing with this and have been dealing with it for a while. Yes. So, for the people dealing with it, we feel you. We've been there. For the mean bosses, you guys are terrible. No, I'm joking. But work on it, work on it for sure, because at the end of the day, I think retention rate is everything when it comes to, business, when it comes to, working at school, right? And there's certain things to do, certain sciences that go into, keeping your team around and keeping people around you. So I think we all got work to do. We say that all the time here. And if you want to catch us, more of us at Working It Out Across Generations,
more of us,
e360tv.com trajectory channel, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, other subscriptions coming soon. We have a Facebook Working It Out TV show, YouTube, Working It Out Across Generations. Remember what we say, every like, follow, subscribe, piece of engagement means the world to us. So please keep engaging. We just dropped the email to Working It Out Across the Generations at e360tvlive.com. Please reach out. Anything you want to say to us, anything you want to share, stories, experiences, feelings. We're here for all of it. Anything you want to see as far as future shows too, that's always helpful. We want to see that too. But please reach out. Please stop touching stuff. This is when I get overstimulated.
Please stop touching stuff.
Text, not you. So let's all play our role.
I am trying to.
So as you keep touching things, stop touching things. Stop touching things.
We got to put this point up.
My gosh. I mean, it's as if young people.
Good thing I'm not a mean boss.
It's as if young people don't know anything, right? Like, my Lord. But as you keep touching,
I want to put this comment up.
Put the comment up. Wrap the show up.
Thank you.
I'm overstimulated now. Love you guys. I'm good. Let her.
The thing is, Andrea says, the thing is, the mean bosses who are listening cannot hear this. Yes. I love that you said that, because people cannot often see themselves in the picture, which is why I'm saying to you, if you are a person who is a boss, number one, pay attention if your folks are coming to you constantly, consistently, trying to get you to hear them and understand what are the things that they are unhappy about in working for you that aren't about the company, but actually are about you. If that's happening to you, that's a good sign that you are a mean boss. So here's what I want to say. I love this show. It was difficult to revisit some of those mean bosses, but I think it was also good for me to recognize how far I have come, and actually in thinking back on them, to think about at the time, there were signs that there were things going on clearly for them that had nothing to do with me, even though it was incredibly difficult for me to look at that, accept that, internalize that for myself. But I think that we've got to be able to work in a society with all kinds of people, but we also have to be kinder to each other. There's no need to be mean. Get what you need done in other ways that motivate your people to do it.
Yeah, we already talked about it. Shame's not the only motivator. So please, you know what we say, conflict is here to teach you something about yourself. Go out there and find out what that is. This is Working It Out Across Generations. I'm Justin.
And I am Dr. Lynn. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are. Don't forget to email us.
See you next week.
Yeah.